What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Panthers Advice. Today, man, we've got a lot to get into because originally we were going to do Kobe Hudson today, receiver out of UCF, all right, originally at Auburn. Bill, when I told you guys that, people were like, well, we have enough receivers, don't we? Right? Why would you talk about another receiver? And then I started seeing more Panthers creators talk about, okay, do the Panthers have too many receivers in the receiver room? And then articles started saying the same thing. So I'm like, okay, if I drop the Kobe Hudson video, it's not going to make sense. So today is kind of a part one of potentially 2 or 3 on why I think Kobe Hudson can fit in the Panthers offense. But first we have to figure out, okay, where does everyone else play? Now I could try and explain that to you guys, but I'd rather have Steve Smith kind of explain the first part. And what he's going to explain with Coker in this first part we're going to watch is, okay, where can Coker line up in the Panthers offense? This is him talking about Jalen Coker before the Panthers signed him, because remember, the Panthers didn't draft Jalen Coker. They signed him as an undrafted free agent. So he's going to talk about Coker, where he could line up at, right? The possibilities, and we're going to go from there.
I really believe the lack of speed that he has. Some people say he's a slot guy. I think his 10-yard shuttle puts him in the category of he could play both. What's going to be the deciding factor where he lines up after he gets into camp and on the team is his timing as the slot. Does his timing in the route, especially some of these offenses where it's all predicated on timing.
Right.
Is his timing up to the veterans that are out there to play in the slot, or is his timing more of a outside receiver?
So what's interesting about the point he just makes, he talks about, okay, you know, is his timing up to the veteran standard to play either in the slot or as the outside receiver? The thing is, the Panthers didn't really have a veteran receiver other than Adam Thielen. So Adam Thielen being a slot receiver would have made more sense for Coker to basically dominate as the outside receiver. But the thing is, 1, Adam Thielen got hurt, and 2, Coker made some of his best plays as a slot receiver. And, you know, the reason Steve Smith brings this up is because you want to figure out where to plug and play him at, right? Because Steve Smith says he's probably a 5th, 6th round pick, so where can he come in and kind of be a factor right away? Well, for the Panthers, he kind of played outside and slot, but he made some of his biggest plays in the slot, which is going to be interesting as we continue this video. But let's keep it going and see what else he has to say.
That's why getting a guy in camp, you learn what his timing is in our offense to be able to know where he can line up or where he cannot line up initially.
Not all timing's the same.
Not all timing is the same. The Miami Dolphins timing is different than the San Francisco 49ers timing. And I use those two people is because Mike McDaniel's offense and Kyle Shanahan's offense are very similar.
Sure.
But Tua and Purdy are different throwers.
So that right there was interesting when he mentioned timing, right? Because I don't think Bryce Young and the Panthers offense really have a timing, if that makes sense. Because you go to the Dolphins, Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, Achane, and everyone else on that team. The Niners from this past few years, you know, Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, right? They all had a timing. The Panthers don't have that yet because for the last 2 years, Bryce Young's offense, the only thing that's been consistent is Adam Thielen. And I guess Tommy Tremble, but even then he was hurt for almost half the year this past year, give or take. So we don't really see what Bryce Young can do with timing. In the first year, because the line was so bad, he was dropping back, bang, throwing that thing quick. And what happened year 2, week 1 and 2 before he was benched? Same thing, trying to get that thing out quick to Deontay Johnson, right? Drop back, 1-2, bang, throw to Deontay. There was really no timing involved. Now, as the season went on, you saw Bryce kind of develop some timing. But here's the thing. The offense that was out there last year isn't going to be the same offense that's going to be out there this year. From Rico to, you know, McMillan, it's going to be different. So I'm curious to see how Dave kind of implements all this, right? Because, you know, Steve Smith talked about Niners kind of attacking the coverage, Dolphins about that speed. We'll see what Dave Canales does. Let's keep it going.
The receivers are different. Miami has more speed. 49ers are more on levels, how they attack you.
So that's my fault. I forgot that he said that later on in the video. But yes, Dolphins are trying to beat you over the top, all right, which could be a reason why they fail in cold games because Tua can't throw that ball deep. And Niners, man, they're just trying to attack you. Man zone, they're trying to basically attack your defense. When it comes to Bryce Young and the Canals offense, like I said before, we haven't seen that yet. Now, what are we going to look at right here? So now we're going to take a look at Coker highlights. And we're taking a look at Coker highlights to figure out, okay, how did he play in the slot last year? How did he play as an outside receiver? The thing is, he did good in both. But we're going to look at it together to figure out, okay, does it make more sense for Coker to play in the slot versus outside? First play we're going to look at right here against the Bears. All right, man-to-man coverage, Coker in the slot. I mean, no one's ever questioned his route running, right? Everyone's always said, Coker, he's got the best route running. And this is what Steve Smith is talking about when it comes to timing, like right here. You can't just put anybody right there in that mesh concept going underneath, all right? The timing has to be there with the quarterback. And Coker, with Bryce Young, that timing looks almost immaculate right here. Once again, Coker in the slot. Let's run it back real quick. You're going to see Coker right here, gets behind the defense. I'm assuming basically a dig route, 10, 15 yards deep. All right, Bryce Young steps into the pocket. Coker first down. Can Coker play the outside? Yes. But as I look at him as a slot receiver, especially if it's man coverage, Coker's going to feast, all right? And the reason for that is a couple things. One, let's watch him right here, top of the route. We're going to pause it. Coker's a bigger body, right? Most slot guys aren't as big as Coker. Now, most slot guys are also faster than Coker, but they're not as big as Coker. The other thing is Coker is smooth on his routes. So why does that matter? It matters because since he's playing the slot, he's going to have more, I guess, field to make his move, right? Left or right, up, down, whatever it may be. On top of that, when I mentioned before about him being a bigger guy, usually the DB playing the slot receiver is kind of small. So Coker being crisp with his routes, having a bigger body, when he's running that out, that corner, that post, the end, whatever it may be, the second he gets in front of that DB, it's hard for that DB to get back in front of him. One, because of his size, and two, because of how good he runs his routes. So just watch what happens right here. The DB never had a shot. One, the size, and two, Coker's too big, and if the DB tries to put his arm out there, Coker's going to run right through it. And like I said before, sometimes Coker can play the outside receiver, especially if the timing calls for it, like right here, right? 2nd and 5, give it to Coker, let him get a first down. Outside receiver right here. I mean, a hell of a catch right there. Empty backfield set. Look at Coker in the slot. To me, he dominates the slot. Dominates it because of his smooth route running. And again, sometimes you can play him as an outside receiver. But other times, you need this right here. Because there's a lot of receivers. Listen, there's a lot of receivers who will go across the middle, and due to the linebackers and safeties coming up, coming down, they may not catch it. But you watch Coker, and his catch percentage last year was immaculate as well. That is somebody you need. Right there. I had to cut it short, because of copyright and everything. But he's going to catch this thing, and the safety's going to come down and pop him, and he holds on to it. Right here against the Falcons. All right, he's going to roll out, make a nice little throw to Miles Sanders right there. I think we have one more play left. Let's take a look right here. A little 3-by-1 set. I mean, it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself right here, 3rd and 4. Same thing. This is when you want a guy like Coker, right? Smooth route running. Bang. I mean, it speaks for itself. Now, that's going to wrap up part 1. Okay, because part 2, we're going to talk about Steve Smith going in on the Panthers draft. If you've seen the video, you know what he says. If you haven't, stay tuned. That's going to drop Sunday. Part 1 was to get an understanding of Jalen Coker and where he's going to play. Because I feel like if we didn't do that, it was going to be like, okay, Coker could play here, here, or here. To me, he's going to play the slot. Okay? Everyone talks about XL, and I said the same thing, and I watched Coker play. I'm like, no. He's got to play the slot. Now, XL could be the 4th receiver, but Coker right there proved to you he's going over the middle, he's making catches, right? He can do the back shoulder. He can do everything you want him to do. On 3rd and 4, he's going to run that levels concept and get you the first down. To me, Legette's options are this. Either play the 4 or play the 2, because McMillan's going to play the 1. So to me, the 2 is still open. Jimmy Horn is obviously going to play in there with, Coker too. But the 2 is still open. And that's where I think Kobe Hudson out of UCF, all right, originally in Auburn, could play. But again, that's going to be a part 3. So stay tuned for that. Ooh, a lot of content coming up. I'll catch you guys then. Take it easy. Panthers Devices out. Peace.